I've got a lotus flower, which is unfoldment, and that's going to be our card reading for today. So I'm pulling this card from the Earth Magic deck. It is Inktober, which, I'll talk about that for a second, I guess, which is a drawing challenge, inking challenge that goes on all around the world, and it happens every October. It's really fun. I love challenges. You guys know that. I've talked about it before. And this is a challenge that just kind of brings me back to centering my drawing practice, and it brings me back to just kind of slowing down. And it's just black and white for me generally, but you can use other color inks if you wanted to, but I usually just do black and white. And so I've been sharing that. There's a prompt list. You don't have to follow the prompts, but you can if you want to, if you want a little bit of guidance. So I shared that in the group, Discover Your Creative Magic, here on Facebook. And you can follow along with the prompts, or you can come up with your own theme, or you can just decide that you want to just spend time drawing something every day. So that's just the theme in and of itself, right? So I picked up one of my older sketchbooks. I've had this sketchbook since 2015. That's when I started working on this for Inktober 2015. And then I've come back a couple of different times and added to it. Do you guys ever do something like that? It's kind of fun because you've already got stuff down on your sketchbook, and you've already got things kind of started, and then you could just come back to it and add to it. And then I have this drawing of the sunflower that I did back in 2015. And then just this week I added all of these extra little background lines. So my goal for Inktober is to play with this calligraphy nib pen that I purchased. I purchased this probably around the holidays last year, and I really hadn't had a chance to play with it. So I'm using acrylic ink, and I'm using this calligraphy nib pen, and I'm just trying to learn how it works, how to hold it, how to make lines with it. It's kind of fun to just come back to a sketchbook that I've already worked on and then add little extra bits and pieces as I'm practicing what it is to hold. Let me look at another one. Oh yeah, this one was like total mess because I smeared it, because when I draw, I have my hand and I kind of tend to graze the paper. And so when I'm working with an ink like this, I'm making all of these weird little blotches and smeared marks, and that's okay. I'm learning. But I've added it to a page that I had already started. So I had already done some cactuses in the past, and then I added in those ink splotches and things this week as I'm learning. The picture that here. So here's a lotus flower. I had done the lotus flower back in 2015, and then I came back this week and added all of the little lines and swirls and texture all around the outside of it. So pretty fun. I'm playing with a little bit of it's kind of like visiting your past self too, in a way, because I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when I did that, and I haven't really thought about that drawing, and now I'm coming back and adding to it. So a little bit of your past life in there. All right, let's read our card. So it is the lotus flower. This is from the Earth Magic deck, and our word is unfoldment. Isn't that pretty? The lotus flower sits upon one of its leaves, having risen to the surface as the sun. Held in the hand of God, invites it upward to the light. This unique plant is rooted in the mud and muck at the bottom of a body of water, its stem reaching up to the surface where the leaves rest quietly. At night, the flower closes and sinks down below the surface, only to rise with the daylight and once again gradually unfold its petals, its stem extending above the waterline 3 feet or more. What we learn from this amazing plant is how our own spiritual path unfolds and opens to the light. Then at times gently folds in on itself for a proper rest when the daylight fades. This period is just as necessary as the growth, for it allows the plant to integrate what it has gained in nourishment during the day. It also is just as important that it is rooted, and it is yet another miracle of nature that something so exquisitely beautiful is formed from the mud and silt at the water's bottom. So here's our message from the card. Your spiritual unfoldment is occurring at all times, whether or not you are aware of it. It is inevitable as long as you put your trust in the hands of the Creator, the one who holds the light. Like the lotus, your soul is always reaching for the light to fulfill its karmic destiny. But even in that process, there are periods of darkness and times to rest. It is a natural cycle, one that cannot truly be coerced or halted. It has an intimate rhythm of its own, one that is unique to the being that is you. You do not need to strive or be driven by spiritual ambition. It does no good to try to force growth upon yourself or others for that matter. Allowing is the key here. Allow the place in you that naturally wants to follow the light to do so, while recognizing that even when you have complete faith, you will face challenges and occasionally suffering. Your steady faith and love will guide you on your journey of returning to the light. So that is our message for October. And I thought I would do a lotus flower drawing with all of you today. So you can use pencil, you can use pen, you can use marker. If you want to draw along, you can use ink. Here's an example of another art page in which I had a couple of different types of lotus flowers. Playing with lots of different styles, kind of crossing over, putting the more kind of petaled out. So many different ways. All right, I don't know why I brought this one down here, but what kind of drawing to do today? Maybe we'll do something like this where we've got like a couple of different styles. So I'm using this black acrylic ink, and I added my acrylic ink in here, and then I've got my calligraphy pen. I also have a rag to clean up your pen because you don't want any paint or ink to get stuck here in the nib. And lastly, I have a little water bottle that I might spray on the page, but I really have it here to spray my rag and then use that to wipe off my nib. So the idea with this is you have to get enough ink inside the nib there so that when you go to write and you put a little pressure down, there's some ready to flow out. And I think it was Lori in the group told me to hold it at a 45-degree angle, so that's what I've been trying to do. But I really love how thin the lines can get. Like, look at that. Super cool. I like how it works on more textured paper, because sometimes I've got markers and things that, you know, when you're working on too textured of a paper, or maybe you're trying to go on top of something that was already there, it just doesn't work so well. So this is one of the things I've been kind of playing with, is just drawing different lines and seeing how to hold it. I know that if you push down lighter, it gets thinner. If you push down a little more, see that? You get your nice calligraphy type shape where you've got some thicker lines and some thinner lines. So right now I'm just sort of playing to warm up, get comfortable. And then of course you can do some writing, and that's like, I did a little bit of writing the first day, but that's not really my focus for this. I really want to be able to use this for drawing. So I don't know if you can see that, but when you go to push down, the nib just kind of opens a little bit, and that allows the ink to flow out and through it. Super interesting. I've always really related to the symbolism of lotus flowers. Going down in the muck. Okay, let's try some drawing, shall we? I think I'll use my page here for some inspiration, and maybe I'll start with this one because it really just uses like that same shape and goes up and down like a, what is that called? An ellipse shape. Just make one, and then I'm gonna make my next one, and I'm gonna, it's hard to know how to pick up the ink. And just overlap the first one a little bit. And then I'll do that with the next one. Oh! So what happened there was the angle that I pushed down on had all of these little splatters happen. And it's cool. I'm not mad at it. But, because I don't mind, right? I don't mind happy accidents. And I think I'll put this down on my paper and see if that helps. I know that people that draw a lot do put something down so that when they put their hand down, it kind of doesn't smear or mess it up. But since I don't draw like that very often, or with things like ink in this way, I don't think to do that. So for me, I think the part that really kind of excites me are these little lines that you can get. I'm so used to working with paint brushes a lot of the time, and you can't always get those fine lines. I don't really use teeny tiny paintbrushes that would help you get more fine lines. But isn't that fun to get that detail? Okay, so I'm going to switch and do another lotus shape now. And this one I'm going to start with same shape, but I'm going to just put it in the center like so. And then I'm going to go out from the center here and do more of a petal shape like that. So almost reminds me of those little partridge family birds. So you'll go out in one direction, and then I'll do the same the other way, and then I'll do another, kind of branching off of that one. I think one of the things I'm seeing with the splatter is that I have to kind of switch the way I'm holding it, right? So that it goes, because as I'm coming around this way, I probably need to kind of switch the direction I'm holding the pen. So from here, now I'm going to add some bottom petals, and I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start from here and go out this way. And then I'll start from this middle section again and go out this way. And then I will create a little center one. And lastly, I think I'll add one right here to kind of fill in that space. And now if you want, you can kind of go back in and add some thicker lines. And this is a good shape to be on a lily pad, or you can add a stem. You could do either way. So you can add a stem like I did there, or you can put this one on more of a lily pad like our card. Let me go grab our card. So if I'm going to take a little break, now I'm going to spray this nib on my pen and my ink like that, and then wipe it. And I'm trying to get into the habit of doing that anytime I like take a switch in my action or my break, because I really don't want, I think if you get ink drying up in there, then it's not gonna do that nice split that you want it to do. I'm gonna go pick up the card again. I want to take a look at this one here. Take a look at that lily pad. Look at that. That's a really pretty shape. And you probably couldn't see that before, but see the hand kind of holding that sun in the clouds. So I'm going to put a little lily pad down here, and I'm going to use my card as a bit of guidance. And one of the things I'm noticing is that it really picks up like every little wiggle of my hand. Whereas sometimes when you draw, like your materials are not that responsive, but it picks up like every little wiggle. Which is kind of something to get used to, really. I'm going to try and do a little cross-hatching. Cross-hatching is just when you go in the opposite direction of your original lines to create some shadow. Just experimenting, seeing what it looks like. I like how they've got all of these little lines in here on the card too, like all of the little petal detail. And so I think I will play with that, since this pen is so nice with the lines. I'm gonna utilize it. And it's okay to get carried away. Because I feel like I kind of am right now. Like, it's okay to get carried away with the lines. Because I'm practicing and I'm playing. Aw, I'm on just in time for your lunch break. Hello, Ayler family. It's making me think a little bit about like an etching. So look, I guess when I sprayed my water bottle before, it got on my words. I tell you, I'm messy. I might be too messy for this kind of work. or I can just go with it. So let's see what happens if I just kind of lightly spray. Now it does say on here that it is water resistant, shake well, water resistant. But I wonder if that's more of like once it's dry. Because you can see there's definitely the ability for it to bleed a little bit when water has been added. But these were a little drier over here. So once it's dry, you probably aren't going to have any issues. But if you get it wet while the ink is still wet, then it will smudge. I'm just going to smudge all over. But this is one reason why I love to do challenges, is because it gives me the space to play and just be like, oh, you know, my goal is to practice with this thing and practice this with this new tool. And I'm just going to allow myself to play and make a mess. Let's see, should we do one more? I'm trying to think if I have enough space. I wanted to do one like this with you. Maybe I could fit it right here. We'll give it a shot if I kind of start down in the corner. So for this one, I'm going to start with a petal shape off to the right. And then I'm going to do a petal shape, but a different shape. So more, this one's a little more, going to be a little more organic. It's not going to be as symmetrical or geometric as the other ones were. Do I want this to come, I kind of want this to come a little bit behind. And then come in. And in the center here is where you'll have your seeds. I probably didn't need to do that line all the way down. You kind of want this to be. I feel like I'm using it like a dip pen, like I keep dipping it back into the ink. I've never used a dip pen though either, so. But that's kind of how I'm thinking dip pens work. So I'm sort of just kind of dancing around, and then I want to have some that are open a little more towards me. So we'll pull that one down. This one, we're gonna go make an upside down heart. And then just close that up, and that gives you that sort of flipped up little petal. And now I can add some extra lines for the detail, like the petal, this being like the back side of the petal here. Oop. Maybe one more right here. And then lastly, I can just add a few and there you have it. A little more of an organic, kind of open, petally lotus flower. There's a little one that doesn't have a bud. And then you can add some little rings underneath the stem to make it look like it's in the water. Some little ripples. I love pages like this where you just take a subject and you kind of repeat drawing around it. Take the same subject and draw it a few different ways.